All right, guys, the first part of the warm-up, I need voices off. All right, so we're gonna divide both sides by not just 2, what else can we divide by? X, there we go. So 2x will go on the outside. Whenever you divide by something, that will go on the outside. The 2's cancel, what am I left with? X squared minus 4, the x is canceled out. Now, if you're curious as to why we ended up with an x squared, it's because in the numerator, I have 3 x's, and in the denominator, I have 1. These cancel, leaving me with 2 x's. That's x squared. Okay, we are not done. It tells us to factor completely. So guys, whenever I have a squared and a number, you are going to do the eye chart to factor. I need 2 numbers that multiply to -4. Since I'm missing the middle term, I'm going to put a 0. Can you guys think of 2 numbers that multiply to -4? 2 and -2 is 2 minus 2, 0. Perfect. So those are my 2 numbers. So my answer will be x plus 2 and x minus 2. And do not forget the 2x that goes on the outside. So this is now factored completely. Today's notes, we're going to be talking about wholes that you will find in a rational function. So yesterday we looked at the graph of a rational function. So guys, this is a rational function. It looks like this. We also saw the other day that sometimes you will have a hole in your rational function, right? Okay, so guys, the first sentence, sometimes a rational function may have a hole. This occurs when there is a common factor in the numerator and the denominator. What this sentence means, having a common factor in the numerator and the denominator. Guys, what is in common with the top and the bottom? X plus 2. These are in common. That means you're going to have a hole. That's what that sentence means. A hole occurs when you have a common factor in the numerator and the denominator. So the top has an x plus 2 and the bottom has an x plus 2. Whenever that happens, you're going to have a hole. A hole is a point on the graph. Therefore, it is an ordered pair. So just like this example that I gave you, let's pretend that this ordered pair is at 2, 1. That's what this means. The hole has a location. It's an ordered pair, 2 and 1. Does that make sense so far? Okay, we will see an example. Right now, I'm just explaining what each part of the notes mean. Okay, now I'm going to erase this example. Let's focus on the next sentence. The x coordinate of the hole is the x value that makes the common factor equal to 0. Okay, what did these 2 have in common? X plus 2. Set that equal to 0 and solve. So what will x be equal to? -2. X is -2. That means that's the x value of the hole. That's what that sentence means. Plug this value into the simplified function. Write the word simplified to find the y value. Okay. So notice, guys, these are what was in common, x plus 2 and x plus 2. So what's left? What's left? Yep, so this is a simplified function. What this is saying is plug this x value into the simplified function. And then that's how you'll find the y value. So plug in a -2, plug in a -2, and you'll get a number. Okay, so that is what the notes say. Let's do an example. I'm gonna do this bottom one here. So first, let's go ahead and factor. The numerator is already factored for you. Let's factor the denominator. Because I have a squared and a number, I'm gonna go ahead and do an eye chart. So I need two numbers that'll multiply to -12, but add to give me 1. 4 and -3, perfect. 4 times -3 is -12. 4 minus 3 is 1. So those are my factors. X plus 4 and x minus 3. Okay, do y'all see what's in common? What's in common? So cancel those out. Anything divided by itself is just 1. So I'm left with 1 over x minus 3. That's what's left over. That's the simplified form. Okay, now we're gonna show some work. I wanna know what the x value of the whole is. So whatever we canceled out, x plus 4, set it equal to 0. So what is x equal to? -4, because we subtract 4 from both sides. So guys, that is the x value of the whole. The way we find the y value of the whole is we plug this into the simplified equation. So here's the simplified equation. I'm going to erase this x and plug in a -4. So I have 1 over, what's -4 minus 3? Good, -7. That's the answer. That is where the whole is located. So let me draw you a picture of what this might look like. I have a whole at -4 and then 1 over -7. -4 is here, 1, 2, 3, 4. -7 would be down here. So that means I have a hole right there. So maybe the graph looks something like this. My hole is right here at -4, -1, 7. Okay, we're finding the location of the hole today. Let's do another example. Let's do this one. Okay, we're going to factor the top and the bottom, each part. So guys, because this has a squared and a number, I will use an eye chart. Because this has a squared and a number, I'm going to use an eye chart for both. So let's talk about the numerator first. I need two numbers that multiply to 4, but combine to give me 5. Yep, 1 times 4 is 4, 1 and 4 is 5. So that's my first factor. It'll be x plus 1 and x plus 4. That's the numerator. Now let's do the denominator. All right, next part. I want two numbers that will give me -1. Do I have a middle term? No, so put 0. So what times what is -1? 1 and -1. Is 1 minus 1 0? Perfect. Those are my two factors, x plus 1 and x minus 1. So that's your factored form. Do y'all see what cancels? Thank you, Guy. X plus 1 cancels with x plus 1. So what's my simplified form then? Yep. X plus 4 over x minus 1, whatever's left. Okay, so now let's find the wholes. To find the x value of the whole, whatever you canceled out, that will give you the x value of the whole. So I canceled out x plus 1, so what is x equal to? -1, because you just subtract 1 from both sides, you get -1. That's the x value of the whole. How do I find the y value of the whole? Exactly, thank you, Lyric. We're going to plug this into the simplified form. I'm just gonna write it over here again. I'm gonna erase these x's and put in a -1. All right, so guys, what's -1 plus 4? +3. And what's -1 minus 1? -2. So the answer is -3/2. So this is the location of your hole. Okay, if I were to draw a picture of this is telling me that I have a hole at -1 and -3/2. So that's about right here. So that means I have a hole right here, and perhaps my graph looks like this. Maybe it looks like that, maybe it doesn't. But the point is, this is where your hole is located. Make sense what we're finding? Okay. Let's do another example. All right, this is already factored for you. They did the hard part. Does anything cancel out? Nothing cancels? What 12?
Can you do the two?
Nope, these aren't the same. This is a -2 and a +2, so those don't cancel. They have to be the same. So guys, that means there's no hole.
Can I put none in all?
You can put none. You don't have to do any of this. It won't simplify because nothing cancels out. It's already factored. You don't have to do anything. There's no hole. All right, next one.
Are you gonna let them hear that?
We'll see. We'll see.
It's gone. That's what I said. Are you gonna let them hear that?
Yeah, sure. All right, guys, next one. Let's factor this. Let's go. All right, am I gonna do an eye chart for the top one? Ooh, some people said no. Why not? Yes, because I don't have a squared. So guys, what I'm gonna do, just write it down again. What can we divide both of these by? So close. Thank you. -3. This is a negative in the front. You need to divide by a negative. Okay, so -3 is on the outside. What's left over? Perfect. All right, so that goes on the top. -3 times x minus 4. That's the numerator. We didn't do an eye chart. Look, guys, if you missed it, we did not do an eye chart here because it didn't have a squared. You do an eye chart when you have a squared. Okay, we didn't have one. All right, the bottom one. Are we doing an eye chart? Yes, we are. So I need two numbers that multiply to -4, but add to -3. Perfect. -4 times 1 is -4. -4 plus 1 is -3. So those are my two factors. X minus 4, x plus 1. Y'all see what cancels? What? Yep, that cancels, that cancels. So the simplified form is what's left. -3 over, y'all got it. Now, how do I find the x value of the whole? Equal what to 0? What I got rid of, so x minus 4, perfect. So what is it? Just 4. Now, how do I find the y value of the whole? Plug it in, perfect. So I'm gonna write it down right here. I'm gonna plug in a 4. Yes, -3/5. That's the answer. Okay, next example. You guys can factor the top. Do it on your own. Ready, go. All right. The top, two numbers that multiply to 12 add to 7 are 4 and 3. So you should have gotten x plus 4 and x plus 3 in the numerator. Okay, and then I told you guys, you have to divide all of these by what? -2. If the leading number is negative, you have to divide by a negative also. Okay, so let's figure out what we're left with. Good, I heard you say it. -2 goes on the outside, don't forget it. That cancels, I have x squared. This cancels, I have a positive x. Why is it positive? Yes, two negatives make a positive. Positive 12 divided by a negative 2 is negative 6. Do we do an eye chart? Yes. So I need two numbers that multiply to negative 6, add to 1. What were they? Good, 3 and negative 2. 3 times negative 2 is negative 6. 3 minus 2 is 1. So those are your factors, x plus 3 and x minus 2. Do we see what cancels? Those. So your simplified form is x plus 4 over x minus 2. How do I find my whole? I took away x plus 3, so set that equal to 0. What's the answer? Negative 3, because we subtract 3 from both sides. How do I find the y value? Plug it into the simplified one. Don't put it into this complicated one. Don't make more work for yourself. Okay, so I'm gonna write it down. We're plugging in negative 3. Plus 4 minus 2. Okay, what's negative 3 plus 4? 1. And what's negative 3 minus 2? Negative 5. That's your answer. Okay, guys. We made a dire mistake.
Yes, we do.
We made a dire mistake. We all did, because y'all didn't stop me. We divided by a negative 2, didn't we? So negative 2 is on the outside. What should be on the outside? A negative 2, guys. We should have a negative 2 on the outside. Everyone add that. We need a negative 2 on the outside. Okay? Yeah, technically I messed up. And no one caught it but Jessie. Thank you, Jessie. Okay, so guys, this is what it should look like. Did everyone correct it on your paper? Okay, great. Now, this is gonna change our y value. So guys, don't freak out, relax, relax. You just need to put this in parentheses and put that negative 2 on the outside. That negative 2 follows us wherever we go. Okay, so put a negative 2 on the outside. So guys, let's evaluate this together. Are y'all ready? Are y'all with me? Okay. Negative 3 plus 4 is what? 1. Now let's look at the denominator. What's negative 3 minus 2? Negative 5, but then multiply it by this negative 2. 10. So this is your answer for this example. Please make sure you have it correctly.